kind of visualize your mix. Kind of you want to listen to each instrument, and singer, and just sometimes close your eyes. It's like, okay, well, can I hear the piano? Can I hear the organ? Is one of them out, drowning out the other one? The singers is one, and just kind of close your eyes sometimes. And because sometimes when you look, you see the person playing, so you automatically think you're hearing them. Sometimes just close your eyes and just kind of listen to the overall. Kind of lose yourself in the mix and see if there's something missing or something too much or something's sounding muddy or something's too harsh or whatever. And you want your overall balance to be, especially if you have a full band. Do any of you have a full band at your church? Okay. Any of you expect to never have a full band in your church? Okay. You'll want it to be the whole overall sound like your stereo. When you're listening to music, you want it to be punchy, where you kind of feel the low end. Full lows. The mid-range, you want it to have some body and be natural sounding. The highs to be clear and transparent. And you don't want it to be like, your bass, you don't want it to be so boomy that it's just like, knocking you out. The mid-range lower mids, and I'll get into this a little bit, I'll demonstrate this here in a minute, but your lower mid-range, let's kind of go back to your frequency thing here. Let's get rid of some of this signal flow. Remember we showed the frequency thing here where you start off at like 20 hertz, and then over here you got 20K. Remember, you say 20K. And then you got like about, let's say 200 here, and about 2K, about 2,000 there. Well, down in here we got, let's use a different color. Down in here we've got, up to about, 150. Oh, thank you, sir. We've got our lows down here. This is our bass. And then here we've got our lower mids. Here we've got our upper mids. And here we've got our highs, okay? You want the bass to be punchy. Actually, and if with a band, you really want a little bit more of the bass volume, kind of makes it feel full without it sounding too loud. Your lower mids can be body, but it can also, too much lower mids can just be mud, and it can take away your distinction. That guitar that I was telling you about that was really causing me trouble, what I did was I went into the equalizer, and I was, really trying to pull out a bunch of this lower mid and lows to make it sparkle a little bit more of the high end. Your upper mids, the human ear is the most sensitive to this range in here, and not just 2K, but I'm talking about, maybe from like 1K up to about 4K, all right? That range, the human ear is the most sensitive to that. When you're hearing me speak, what enables you to understand my words are the sounds coming from my mouth, the s and the t and guess what frequency range those sounds are in? Isn't that cool how God created us to where we can understand? And we're more sensitive to those frequencies, all right? And so you think, well, to make it clear, where if somebody's speaking, I want to hear their voice clearly. Well, we want to hear those frequencies. Those frequencies also, because our ear is most sensitive to them, will shred your head off if it's too much of that. And I'll demonstrate that here in a minute. Where if your sound is too much in this frequency range, it's painful. That's what hurts you. That's when the little old lady said, it's too loud, is because these frequencies. So you can have a lot of bass where you can feel it. You can, but this range right here, if you're very careful and make sure that you don't, especially electric guitars sometimes can just shred at that frequency. An organ can. Vocals can, especially female vocals. Man, it can just like, wow. My wife, she is a kind of a higher voice, and she's got a great voice, but I have to always be careful, the sound engineer, in her voice, to maybe cut a little bit in that frequency range to keep her voice smooth. And so that's a real trick that it's going to help you out and make you a hero, is because then you make the sound big and full and punchy, and I'll demonstrate that, but without it hurting your ears. And people don't, so when they're saying it's too loud, sometimes it's not about volume, it's about frequency. And I can show you how you can set your sound systems to where it can be full, punchy, and just because the worship experience, if the volume's too low, it just doesn't draw you in. I get drawn in when it's a big, full sound, but I don't get drawn in when it hurts my ears.